All right, so it's day three. Day three of my 100-day million-meter challenge that honestly, I still haven't made an absolute decision that this is going to happen. All right, so about 5 years ago, I thought of this idea. I was like, hey, I want to do 1,000,000 meters. And that means walking, jogging, rucking, or rowing. I'll explain that in a little bit. 1,000,000 meters in 1 year. And I started that about 5 years ago. And here's the first, full transparency. I've never completed one. I've gotten over 500,000 meters many times. And that has allowed me to do what I do, which is, take people to the summit of Kilimanjaro and take people to go see Machu Picchu and take people to go see Mount Everest. So it's been effective even when I haven't hit the 1,000,000 meters, right? So anyway, this year I've got Kilimanjaro in 6 months. And I was thinking, and I'm 49, about to turn 50 in May. So the quick math on the walk isn't going to work, but I don't know, 8 months out, something like that from May. And I would love to say that I completed 1,000,000 meters in a year. And so here we are at the end of the year, and I've got 6 months from Kilimanjaro. I really want to drop some body fat before that one to make the summit day easier. And so I'm like, is it possible? How can I still do 1,000,000 meters this year? And then I got to thinking further. I'm like, hey, why don't I make this like a super challenge? And so I looked up the number of days left in 2022 and saw that there were like 109, 110 days left. And so I got to thinking, I was like, hey, what if I do something crazy? What if I try to do 1,000,000 meters in 100 days? And so that's where I'm at right now. So this is day three. And so on day one, I pulled up Google Maps and I, dropped a pinpoint and then clicked directions to here and set it to walking. And then I played with that endpoint until it said 3.1 miles. And that's a 5K. That's a 5K, right? So I did that, got a route set up, and then I proceeded to go take a wrong turn. So my very first day, I actually did 10,800 meters because I took a wrong turn. But on day two, I got it right. And I got a 10K. I got a 10K in. So today's day three. Gonna do another 10K. And if you haven't figured this out already, 1,000,000 meters in 100 days is a 10K every day. So that's pretty appreciable. I wouldn't recommend this at all professionally if you haven't been doing some walking, doing some hiking, doing some training that will allow you to suddenly add 10,000 meters or 6.2 miles on a daily basis. So here we are, day three, and thought I'd share what's happened so far. So I started out by body weight. Started out at 208.8. I've lost 10 pounds in the last 3 months, and that's going to be a separate video without hesitation. That's going to be a separate video, but so I'm already down 10 pounds. Started off on Monday morning, today's Wednesday, at 208.8, and then I weighed in this morning at 207.4, and I'll just tell you right up front, my goal is to get to 190 by Kilimanjaro. Our summit day is March 7th. My adventures, the people I'm taking, our summit day is March 7th. And so, so I'm wanting to get to 190 by then. But the key is strength to body weight ratio. So it's super important to me, super important that I don't lose any strength in this process. Because strength to body weight ratio is everything. Again, separate topic, separate video. But for right now, what I wanted to tell you is what I've done, how I'm feeling on day 3. So day 1 was honestly, obviously super fun doing it. And then day 2 was super fun and actually made a faster time on day 2. And then here we are in day 3. And what I'm feeling is I feel good muscularly, and I'm a heavy breather, as I'm sure you're hearing. But I feel fine as far as respiratory. But my feet, what I have noticed is I've got 2 hot spots. One of them is on the back of my left Achilles, where my shoe hits there. So for today's hike, I put a Band-Aid on that spot, made sure my sock was hiked well over the Band-Aid in that spot. And then my second hot spot is actually a little more worrisome because it's over the ball of my right foot. And that one tends to be a pretty big one. And that one can get pretty deep. And so, like right now in this moment, it feels okay, but that's because I'm going uphill. I always feel that spot more on the downhill. So I'm curious, after I've done my 5K up today, and I turn around, what that'll feel like on the way down. All right, so for the Million Meter Challenge, the rules are pretty simple. You gotta walk, jog, ruck, or row 1,000,000 meters in 1 year. And just so you know, that works out to a little bit under 3,000 meters a day, which if I remember right is something like 1.8 miles. I'll need to double check that, but that's about right. And so, it's actually a very, very realistic goal. And here are the more specific rules. Daily steps don't count. Okay, so daily steps, whatever your tracker's showing you that you've just done during a day, those don't count. It has to be a purposeful, I'm obtaining meters now situation. So in other words, a purposeful walk, a purposeful jog, a purposeful ruck, or a purposeful row with the intent of hitting 1,000,000 meters in a year, with the intent of accumulating meters towards that goal during that session. So that does provide a little bit of a twist to the rules. And I thought I'd explain 2 things. The rucking. So rucking is when you put a backpack on and you do your walking, you do your hiking. And so that's definitely a progression. You don't want to start with rucking. You want to start with walking. And then the other thing is rowing. I want to explain rowing. So every day, if you stop and think about it, we're like forward, right? Our bodies are forward, we're holding our phones. Our bodies are forward, we're driving. Our bodies are forward, we're at a desk, at a keyboard, typing away. We're forward all day long. And rowing helps open that back up again. And so I love rowing because it's so great for posture. It's also full body. It's also full body without weight bearing. And on one hand, someone can say, hey, but that doesn't burn as many calories. Kind of true. Kind of true. Someone could also say, hey, that's not really preparing you for, you know, being able to go hike and summit Kilimanjaro and go see Mount Everest and hike part of the Inca Trail for Machu Picchu, right, for my trips. And that's technically also true, but because it's so full body, there's a lot of cardiovascular response to rowing. And what's so great about it as well, in addition to the posture, like that's my number one big thing, is like opening up the posture again, fixing that forward issue. But the other thing awesome about rowing is when your legs and feet and ankles and blisters do get tired and sore and show up. Instead of a walking workout that day, you can go spend some time on a rower, and that will be phenomenal, and it counts for the 1,000,000-meter challenge. Okay, so I gotta admit, my walking route is not bad. Check this out. Whew. All right, so I'm at my turnaround spot. So I've just done an uphill 5K, and thought I'd show you really fast where my turnaround spot is. This place is gorgeous. It's incredible, and it's just super beautiful and motivating to like get to this point because it's so gorgeous. So anyway, I've got a meeting, so I've got to start walking back. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more about something I've already mentioned, which is the blister situation. So I told you that the one on my the ball of my foot, on my right foot, so that's between it's spanning my third and fourth toe, that portion of the ball of my foot, and I can already tell that I've got a problem. I told you earlier that, you know, typically I feel it most on the way down. Well, I already feel it on the way up. So this is going to become an issue, which means I've got to start thinking about the possibility of rowing instead of walking. Maybe even for 2 or 3 days to give this some time to calm down and get built up. And this is why, please hear me here. This is why I don't recommend to anyone. I haven't even like told my adventurers about this challenge yet. In other words, I haven't even told my clients, the people going with me to Kilimanjaro, that they should do this, because they shouldn't, right? They're building up, we're 6 months out, they're building up to being able to do Kilimanjaro. And the reality is that the distance I'm covering every day, the 6.2 miles, with the exception of summit day, like this is actually a little bit more than most days on Kilimanjaro. Now, obviously it's not the elevation, right? I just maxed out at just over 8,100 feet. And I start off at about 7,400 feet. So this hike has 700, just a little over 700 foot of elevation gain on the way up, and then obviously 700 foot descent on the way down in terms of elevation. But the point I'm trying to make is don't try this, right? Don't just watch these videos and say, man, I'm going to do that, unless you've been putting in, like, you know, roughly, and I'm just going to throw out a number, like roughly 12 to 15 miles on your feet every week already, right? I told you earlier that this is basically just under, so the normal 1,000,000-meter challenge comes out to just under 2 miles a day, right? Which, when you take that out over the course of the week, that's 12 to 15 miles. And so again, I just want to reiterate, don't watch these videos yeah, they're fun, or at least I hope they're going to be fun as I tell you the story and share my journey with you. But I don't want you to just like get inspired and jump into this. I'd love for you to get inspired and decide that you're going to do a 1,000,000 meter challenge. And at some point, I'll probably update the description or the caption or wherever I'm posting this and let you know how you can get some free stuff to do the 1,000,000 meter challenge on your own. But that's what I want this to inspire you to do. I want this to inspire you to do a 1,000,000 meter challenge in a year. In a year, I don't want you to watch these and just go, you know what, I'm going to do that in 100 days. Unless you've already got a pretty good walking, jogging, or rucking base on your feet, ankles, knees, hips, and so on. So anyway, like I said a second ago, I've got a meeting, so I've got to speed up my descent a little bit. More in a bit. Okay, so I'm in the home stretch. I definitively have a blister. It has absolutely slowed me down. I am compensating. I've got some things to figure out. But like I said earlier, I've got to get to a meeting. So I'm going to wrap up this video, do some research, and I'll share what's next. See you soon. Next video. Bye now.